Hey everyone, Joe Menza here, and we're going to do a quick one on this Strathmore 400 watercolor ring-bound paper. These are great for almost like a giant sketchbook, if you're careful not to get the pages behind it wet. Now I'm taking the Ron Ranson brush, and I'm wetting down this paper pretty well, kind of blending it in a little bit. And you can let that sit for a few seconds. Remember, you don't have to go as fast as I'm going. You can take your time. You know, skies you want to kind of get in quickly, but other than that, you can take your time. So let's get out my palette of colors. These are Daniel Smith colors in my tin here. And yes, they're a little too small for the brush, but a lot of times I use a fan brush when I use these. But I want to show you, of course, using the Ron Ranson Hake brush. Now here I am with a raw sienna. You can use a yellow ochre if you don't have that. And when we kind of sweep these in from the sides, the idea here is you leave some open areas so that you can have some areas of light. So you don't paint those areas necessarily. Now, I kind of call this setting the stage. This is like a background element. This is like if you were going to have a school play or something, and you were putting up all the backdrops and the little wooden trees and, you know, all those things before the people came out and acted. It doesn't have to be a school play. It could be a Broadway play, maybe better background elements if you so choose. Now, I've got a little purpley blue color here, and these are just going to be the clouds. See, when we do the watercolor, like you think about white fluffy clouds, you can do that in like the other mediums. You can do it here too, but you have to leave that open or, you know, blot it out with a paper towel to really make it look proper. Otherwise, you're just going to paint the blue around. But in this particular case, the blue is the clouds. It's sort of kind of a reverse effect, I guess, and it's an easy way to put them in. So it's blue clouds instead of white clouds, but it mentally, it gives you the same effect. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to use the messiness of the bristles to create foliage. And you can basically slam these in here. Be as gentle as you want. Now, I try to get a couple colors on the brush. I don't know if you can catch that, but I try to have like maybe a Payne's gray and a green, or a green and a darker green, and I don't wash the brush or blend them too much. Now here I've gone to like a burnt umber. I'm just going to call this like a sort of a rustic river type scene. Maybe sort of a little inlet. I don't know why I do these. I think the way my brain works or something with these left-handed, right-handed type of things. Like I'll put a tree here. And this was in one stroke. And look at, I just want to show you some blending here. This is kind of interesting. You can do this, especially on smooth paper, this works. This is almost like the oil painters do. And just kind of blend that. And it looks like the light is kind of just coming down. It works, and I've done it. I kind of got the idea because I was doing like digital. I was using the Procreate app, and there's like a little blender, looks like a glove, and when you go over that, it kind of blends it or smudges. They got like a smudge tool, I think, in like Paint, Microsoft Paint or something. There's like a smudge tool, and it creates kind of a neat effect. I haven't seen that really done in watercolor. I'm sure somebody's tried it out there. Now I've hit it with the little plastic thing here while this bush is still wet. A couple of scratches. And come in with another shade of brown. This is like a burnt sienna. And important, I want to keep that middle area open. That's our light source. And you find light sources wherever you can. And you go back in and, you know, there's a lot of painters who paint... Whenever I'm recording, I always draw blanks in my mind. People have to help me in the comments. But sort of a reverse painting where you're wiping away elements. See, now you can spray this down. I've just done this with the spray bottle to keep things open and wet. And you can come in, you can still do that. I've pulled out the rigger brush here, by the way, and I'm just flicking in. This is my Michael's rigger brush. I like this thing. It's got a really fine point. It's like 2 hairs. Like a needle. But the reverse painting is, you know, like say you're doing an oil and you kind of put in a big blob of green or something. You can come back in with a rag, and people will just kind of wipe that out and come back with I've seen people use squeegees before, like you clean your windows, and they'll just kind of do little wiggly things and things like that and make really interesting little marks. You have to kind of have, I think, a different layout in the way you're thinking to remove things to make the painting rather than add. Now here I'm just kind of coming in and dabbing things, just like I had just said about removing. That's one way you can do it. And here's another way, scraping away the paint. So that's an example of that reverse, painting reverse. Again, throw me a comment because my brain is not firing on all cylinders here. And then, of course, I'll darken this a little bit more. Now, you know these dark shadows, too? I kind of do what I see, but there's more artistic approaches. Like you can use blue for your shadow on your trees, or like a purpley color. I tend to go with like a dark brown because in my mind that's what I'm thinking it is, but you can make it like, I've seen people where they incorporate blues and purples and things into their painting. They're really nice, and I look at them and I go, gee, I'm like you, I wish I could do that, you know. People look at my stuff and say, oh, I wish I could do that. You can do whatever you set your mind to do, but sometimes our own mind gets in the way of certain things. I could do it, but then when I look at it, it doesn't look right for me. I don't know if it's because I created it. What do you think about that? It's like you made it, so you're more, it's like when you cook and then you taste it. If you eat something someone else go, oh, this is really good, and then you try to make it, and yours doesn't seem to taste as good. Well, here's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video.